Hey everyone!
Today, we've got a serious but super important topic to discuss.
The top 10 most corrupt states in America in 2024. Corruption isn't just about shady deals. It undermines public trust and shakes the very foundations of our democracy. So, grab your popcorn and get ready, because we're about to reveal which states are struggling the most with corruption this year. Let's dive right in and uncover the truth together. Starting off our list at number 10 is Georgia. Despite its growth and development, Georgia faces significant corruption challenges, particularly in its metropolitan areas. High-profile cases of bribery, fraud, and misuse of public funds have surfaced repeatedly. For instance, recent scandals have involved city officials in Atlanta, where a former mayor's administration was embroiled in a massive bribery scheme. Contractors paid thousands of dollars to secure city contracts, highlighting a severe breach of ethical standards. In addition, several law enforcement officers have been charged with corruption, including accepting bribes in exchange for protecting drug dealers, which undermines the integrity of the criminal justice system. Georgia's education sector hasn't been immune either. There have been instances of school administrators manipulating student performance data to secure better funding and bonuses, raising questions about the accountability mechanisms in place. These instances erode public trust and highlight the need for stricter oversight and transparency in government operations. With ongoing investigations and public outcry, the state is under pressure to implement reforms and restore faith in its institutions. The call for increased transparency and tougher anti-corruption laws is growing louder, as citizens demand more accountability from their leaders.
At number 9, we have Ohio.
Known for its industrial cities and political swing status, Ohio also struggles with significant corruption. The state has witnessed numerous cases where public officials have been convicted of fraudulent activities, including embezzlement and bribery. One of the most notable scandals involved a high-profile bribery scheme where prominent state legislators were indicted for accepting bribes from a large utility company in exchange for passing favorable legislation. This scandal not only resulted in arrests but also brought to light the deep-seated issues of corporate influence and lack of transparency in the legislative process. Additionally, several city officials in Cleveland and Cincinnati have been caught in corruption webs, ranging from embezzling city funds to accepting kickbacks for city contracts. These incidents have led to multiple convictions and have severely damaged public confidence in local governance. In 2024, ongoing investigations have revealed widespread financial mismanagement and unethical behavior among elected officials, further tarnishing the state's reputation. For example, auditors have uncovered numerous instances of misallocated public funds, particularly in projects intended to improve infrastructure and public services, which were instead siphoned off for personal use by corrupt officials. Coming in at number 8 is Pennsylvania. The Keystone State has a storied history of corruption that includes a mix of financial mismanagement, bribery, and nepotism. High-profile cases have implicated state lawmakers and local officials in schemes to divert public funds for personal gain. One of the most notorious cases in recent years involved a long-standing pay-to-play scandal where state contractors were found to be contributing to political campaigns in exchange for lucrative state contracts. This scandal reached the highest levels of state government, including senior legislators and executives, and led to multiple convictions. At the local level, Philadelphia has been a hotbed of corruption, with numerous city officials charged with accepting bribes and engaging in other unethical activities. In one significant case, a city council member was convicted of accepting bribes from a real estate developer in exchange for political favors, showcasing the deep-seated issues of corruption in urban governance. In 2024, several new investigations have led to further convictions, revealing entrenched corruption in both state and local governments. For example, audits have exposed that funds intended for public infrastructure projects were misappropriated by corrupt officials who used them for personal expenses, such as luxury vacations and private investments. The impact on public services and community trust cannot be overstated. Essential services like education, public safety, and infrastructure development have suffered as a result of the diverted funds and corrupt practices. The erosion of trust in public officials has also led to increased voter apathy and skepticism towards government initiatives. Pennsylvania's battle against corruption is ongoing, with citizens and watchdog groups demanding more stringent laws, better oversight, and greater transparency to restore integrity in government operations. The state's ability to overcome these challenges and rebuild public trust hinges on its commitment to rooting out corruption at all levels.
Number 7 on our list is Texas.
The Lone Star State has seen a rise in corruption cases involving public officials in recent years. From bribery scandals to abuse of power, these incidents have affected various levels of government, tainting the reputation of one of the largest and most influential states in the U.S.
Notably, several elected officials have faced charges for accepting bribes in exchange for political favors.
For instance, a prominent state senator was recently convicted for taking kickbacks from a contractor in return for steering lucrative state contracts their way. This case drew significant media attention and highlighted the vulnerabilities in the state's contracting processes. Additionally, several local officials in major cities like Houston and Dallas have been embroiled in corruption scandals. In Houston, a city council member was caught in a sting operation accepting bribes from undercover FBI agents posing as developers. This case underscored the need for stricter enforcement of ethical standards and more vigilant oversight at the local government level. The pervasive nature of these crimes has led to widespread calls for more stringent ethical standards and accountability measures. Public outcry has pushed for reforms such as enhanced whistleblower protections, stricter penalties for corrupt activities, and the establishment of independent oversight bodies to monitor government transactions and activities. Texans are demanding greater transparency and accountability from their leaders to restore faith in their state's governance.
At number 6 is California.
Despite its status as an economic powerhouse and a leader in technology and innovation, California is not immune to corruption. The state has been rocked by numerous scandals involving the misuse of funds and unethical behavior by public officials, revealing significant flaws in its governance structures. One of the most egregious cases involved a state senator who was convicted of accepting bribes in exchange for political favors and influence. This scandal not only resulted in a lengthy prison sentence for the senator but also brought to light the deep connections between politics and business interests in the state.
Local governments in California have also been plagued by corruption.
In Los Angeles, several city council members were implicated in a sprawling corruption investigation involving real estate developers. These officials were accused of accepting bribes and other perks in exchange for favorable zoning changes and other benefits, leading to a major shakeup in the city's political landscape. State agencies have not been spared either. Instances of financial impropriety, including embezzlement and kickback schemes, have been uncovered in various departments. For example, an investigation into the California Department of Transportation revealed that millions of dollars intended for infrastructure improvements were misappropriated by corrupt officials who funneled the money into personal accounts. The impact of these scandals is significant, undermining public confidence in government institutions and highlighting the need for robust oversight mechanisms. To combat this pervasive issue, there have been calls for comprehensive reforms, such as the implementation of stricter transparency laws, the creation of independent watchdog agencies, and increased funding for anti-corruption units. By addressing these issues head-on, California hopes to rebuild trust and ensure that public officials are held to the highest ethical standards. Coming in at number 5 is Florida. Known for its sunshine and beaches, Florida also has a darker side marked by corruption. The state faces ongoing issues, particularly in its large metropolitan areas like Miami, Orlando, and Tampa. Public officials have been convicted of using their positions for personal gain, engaging in bribery, and committing fraud, which significantly impacts public trust and governance. In Miami, a high-profile scandal involved several city commissioners who were found guilty of accepting bribes from developers in exchange for favorable zoning decisions. This case brought to light the extent of corruption in local government and sparked public outrage, leading to demands for greater transparency and stricter regulations in the city's planning and development processes.
Orlando has also seen its share of corruption, with a recent investigation uncovering a widespread scheme involving several county officials who embezzled funds from public projects.
These officials diverted millions of dollars meant for infrastructure improvements into their own pockets, leaving many public works projects unfinished and the community in disarray.
At number 4 is New York.
The Empire State's corruption issues span both state and city levels, involving high-ranking officials in various schemes. From financial misconduct to bribery, New York has seen a range of corrupt activities that undermine public confidence and the integrity of its institutions. At the state level, recent cases have implicated lawmakers in extensive corruption schemes. For instance, a former state assembly speaker was convicted for accepting millions of dollars in kickbacks from real estate developers and health care companies in exchange for legislative favors. This scandal exposed deep-rooted corruption in Albany and led to widespread calls for political reform and greater transparency in the legislative process.
New York City, the nation's largest metropolis, has also been riddled with corruption.
Several city officials, including high-ranking members of the mayor's office, were found guilty of engaging in pay-to-play schemes, where contracts and benefits were awarded to donors and political allies in exchange for campaign contributions. This has severely damaged the credibility of city governance and fueled public demand for stricter campaign finance laws and better oversight.
Even the law enforcement agencies have not been immune to corruption.
A significant investigation into the NYPD revealed that some officers were involved in protecting illegal gambling and drug operations in exchange for bribes. These officers abused their positions of power, further eroding public trust in the police force.
At number 3 on our list is New Jersey.
The Garden State's corruption problems are deeply entrenched and often intertwined with organized crime and political patronage. Numerous cases have surfaced involving public officials engaging in corrupt practices, ranging from bribery to extortion and everything in between. These instances have not only tarnished the state's reputation but also eroded public trust in its institutions. One of the most notorious aspects of corruption in New Jersey is its connection to organized crime networks, which have historically exerted significant influence over local politics and businesses. Cases of mob-related corruption, such as bid rigging and influence peddling, have shed light on the pervasive nature of this issue and the challenges of combating it effectively. Additionally, political patronage has been a driving force behind many corruption scandals in the state. Elected officials often use their positions to reward supporters with lucrative contracts, jobs, or other favors, perpetuating a culture of cronyism and nepotism that undermines merit-based governance. High-profile investigations and convictions have brought some corrupt officials to justice, but systemic issues persist, highlighting the need for stronger ethical guidelines and enforcement mechanisms. Reforms aimed at increasing transparency, accountability, and oversight in government operations are crucial steps toward addressing the root causes of corruption in New Jersey and restoring public trust. Coming in at number 2 is Illinois, known for its political scandals, particularly in Chicago.
Illinois has a long and storied history of corruption, with state and local officials frequently making headlines for their involvement in various schemes, including bribery, fraud, and embezzlement.
Chicago, in particular, has been a hotbed of corruption, with several high-profile cases exposing the extent of the problem. From corrupt aldermen to tainted contracts, the city's political landscape has been marred by scandals that have shaken public confidence in its leaders and institutions. One of the most notorious examples of corruption in Illinois is the pay-to-play culture, where political favors are exchanged for campaign contributions or other forms of financial support. This practice has led to allegations of cronyism and backroom deals, undermining the integrity of the electoral process and eroding public trust in government.
Despite efforts to root out corruption, recent investigations have revealed ongoing instances of misconduct, highlighting the persistent nature of the problem.
The impact on public trust and governance is profound, necessitating ongoing efforts to combat corruption through increased transparency, accountability, and oversight. And finally, at number 1, we have Louisiana. The Pelican State's long history of political scandals and corruption continues to plague it to this day. From bribery to the misuse of public funds, corruption in Louisiana permeates all levels of government, tarnishing its reputation and undermining efforts to improve governance and accountability.
Louisiana's reputation for corruption is rooted in its political culture, which has often prioritized personal gain over public service. Elected officials have been implicated in numerous scandals, including those involving bribery, kickbacks, and cronyism. These instances of corruption have eroded public trust in the state's institutions and hindered progress on important issues facing the state. High-profile cases and ongoing investigations serve as reminders of the persistent challenges Louisiana faces in combating corruption.
While efforts have been made to address these issues, systemic reforms are needed to root out corruption at its core and restore public confidence in government. Strengthening ethical guidelines, increasing transparency, and holding corrupt officials accountable are essential steps toward building a more honest and accountable government in Louisiana. Corruption remains a significant challenge across many states in the U.S., impacting governance and public trust. Understanding and addressing these issues is crucial for the health of our democracy. Thanks for joining us today. If you found this video informative, please like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth content. Let's continue to stay informed and engaged. See you next time.